Good morning and welcome to a self-published author's diaries podcast. I am authorelodienowodazkij and I am your host. I have been self-publishing since 2014, and for this episode we are going back to the archives. It's a little bit of a back to the future situation because I will dive back into the statistics and the story of a book that I released in 2015 and which is still actually one of my most read books. But at the time, it had 23 pre-orders. It has had a long tail. Today is what I call a numbers episode. So I'm focusing on numbers a little bit and also the stories behind those numbers. And to start, I have a little fun fact. Did you know that I have more than 50 subscribers to this podcast? Because I didn't know. It took me forever to be able to get back into my Apple Podcasts account. I saw that I had 24 subscribers there, and I have, I think, 35 on Spotify. And I don't know, maybe others on other podcast platform. Those are the only numbers I have. And I just want to say thank you to you who is listening, and thank you if you've subscribed, if you've been here for several years, or if you've just started subscribing or following this podcast. I really, really appreciate you. If you would like to tell me that you're listening and tell me from which platform you come from, which country, don't hesitate to send me an email at authorelodienowodazkij@gmail.com. I will put the email into the podcast episode. Another number is that this week I've had 2 days where I wrote more than 6,000 words, which hasn't happened in forever. It has worked thanks to Dictation. Dictation has never worked for me, and trust me, I tried. And you can also ask the chemical engineer, because I've had moments where I got the Dragon transcription software and I read the books on Dictation, and I tried. But this time around, I'm actually having fun with it. To be fair, also transcription, I've tried to use it after my stem cell transplant. It's something that, because I was having issues with brain fog and concentrating, and I wanted to write and I still wanted to tell stories, but I couldn't. I think it's at that time or during treatments. I remember during treatments when I was having a lot of different issues that I tried dictating. It actually worked to a certain extent, but the tools have gotten better now, I feel. So it works better. And also, I know the story very well that I want to tell. Actually, right now, I stopped this morning and did a little bit of a brainstorming because I'm coming up to the middle of the book. I cannot believe I wrote more than 12,000 words in 2 days by dictating. I did try during my walk. So I took a walk and I'm going to be not only productive, but I am going to take an additional walk because I'm going to be able to walk and talk. First of all, I met quite a few people on my walk, a lot of bike riders here in Belgium, bicycle riders. And yes, I was talking to myself. I do have my headphones, which are my over-the-head headphones. One of my sisters tells me I look like a Teletubby with those, which fair, I kind of do. But I was talking to myself, and when I dictate, I actually act out. So I was trying not to act out too much on my walk. But then I also was trying to not make too much, like I was trying to be a little bit, I guess, quieter than I would usually be. So that means that on my walk, the dictation program thought I said, could be there a couple, of course, and I don't want to tie her back. So I'm just letting her to washing her face and her chemist, which I definitely did not say any of that in my Christmas rom-com. There is no chemist. I don't think she was washing her face, and there was no tire back. So I might do a longer episode at some point on this, on dictating. And I did watch 2 videos that helped me a lot on YouTube, because there was one called Real-Time Dictation Session, Dictate and Edit a Scene with Me by Alyssa in the Books. And I will definitely put those episodes links into, or those YouTube videos links into my episode description. And the second one was Book Dictation for Beginners by the Courtney Project. And so I've listened to those videos, I tried it, and this time around it worked. Another number is that I sent a newsletter last week for my Elodie Now book to 205 subscribers. I had an open rate of 48.29%, which is kind of low for me, but I also did not segment as much as I usually do. And I had a click rate of 0.49%, so 1% clicked, and 1% unsubscribed. It's actually someone who I would not have sent this newsletter to if I did segment, because she signed up for A Summer Like No Other, and this one was about my steamy rom-coms, and I usually try to separate those unless I know for sure that the person also reads my other books. I think that's a pretty good segue to talk about A Summer Like No Other, the book that had 23 pre-orders and became my most read book. It also has the most reviews. It has 546 reviews on Amazon with an average of 4.2, which is pretty good. It has 12 reviews on Kobo, while the French version of A Summer Like No Other on Kobo has 284 reviews. And it has on Amazon France almost 2,000 ratings. I still get reviews, recent ones, and it has a 4.1 on the French Amazon. And it has 1,843 ratings. And it has in English 391 reviews on Apple. It has a lot of reviews. This is a book that also has received crappy reviews, but one of those crappy reviews was that it reminded them of a Danielle Steele book, which, let's face it, I'm all for it. And it has good reviews. It's a novella. It ends on a cliffhanger, which is also, I try to do a happily for now cliffhanger, because I did sell this book and market it as a romance. And so in romance, usually, right, you get a happy ending. And this one is more of a happy for now, happy-ish ending, but it does end on a cliffhanger. Some readers are not super happy about cliffhangers. The reason why I did write this book is because I was drafting Always Second Best, which is the follow-up of that novella, and I was stuck. I could not get the characters right. Something was not working, and I decided that it was a second chance romance, and I definitely needed to know exactly what was going on beforehand. So that's very important for me to really understand characters. So I've noticed that doing more, even now, writing more background exercises so that I can see the characters and understand their feelings and how they got to where they got is very important. So I've done that with other books, and even for the one I'm currently writing, which is my Christmas wish list by Elodie Now, because it's my steamy rom-com. I've been doing more exercises as well, so trying to figure out the background of my characters. But when I went back right now and looked at 2015, which is when, again, this book got released, I had a plan in my head. So I wanted this book because I wrote an email to an author friend at the time, and I was explaining what I was trying to do for this particular release. I was trying to gain momentum for the release of A Summer Like No Other. So I ended up putting an earlier book called 1, 2, 3 back on NetGalley, trying to regain a bit of momentum. That's the way I wrote it, into July 2015. And I was trying different things. So I did YouTube videos, I did teasers, I started a series of blog posts entitled The Making of. And then I mentioned that my goal for Summer Like No Other was to gain subscribers for my newsletters and members for my Facebook group, which I had at the time, and anticipation for Always Second Best. So my plans were quite a lot. I have a lot of plans. I always do. So for this one, I wanted to do translations of One Dream Only and 1, 2, 3. Again, I would make different decisions now. Release of A Summer Like No Other on July 30th. Release of Always Second Best mid-September. I ended up moving the Always Second Best release. And then I wrote release of other book in series with awesome title in December. Maybe need to plot it and make it Christmassy, New Year's Eve. So I did end up writing a book called Love in B Minor, which was definitely a very awesome title. I cannot remember when I released it, but I'm pretty sure I did not release it in that same year. And then there was still Twitter. So I was also looking at doing a press release. I came from communications. I used to work as a press officer. Maybe that's why I was thinking about that. I was looking on Fiverr at some people who say they distribute the press release to platforms. And then I sent a bunch of information to that author friend. I think she was asking me questions otherwise. But the pre-order, so I had it for 99 cents. So it was not $2.99 or anything like that. I actually had written an email to Elizabeth Briggs, who very sadly has passed away from cancer since. And she was also self-publishing. We started self-publishing at the same time. And we were in the same circle of author friends. And she had told me I could write to her in case I had any questions. And I had questions. So I wrote to her and I was asking her about pricing. And she was super helpful in helping me, like trying to figure out what to price the novella. And then looking back at emails at the time, it definitely took a village because I was writing emails about my blurb. I was asking my author friends for feedback on my blurb. I sent A Summer Like No Other to 2 different critique partners who gave me feedback super quickly because I was on deadline. I was crunching time. I was revising. Like it was a lot. And then I said to one of my author friends, Riley Edgewood, I was telling her that I was hoping that in the book she would find a lot of New York Times sentences because I had done the packet of Margie Lawson called Dip Edits, which I highly recommend because one of the craft thing I've done for this book that, again, didn't do so well at the very beginning. What I did was that I really tried to do my ending of chapters, and when I did the revision, to propel my French accent, the reader forward. And this is a feedback I've gotten, including by people in my family who've read it, who said, like, I wanted to stop reading because I had to go to bed, but I could not stop reading. And I did that. This was not out of the blue. I really, really worked on my craft for this book when it comes to making sure the reader wanted to keep reading. And I also really tried to think about scenes that I think the readers would love to see, scenes that I love to read as a reader as well. So it was a book that I needed to write for many reasons. I did it quickly. I wrote that book very quickly. Again, it was a novella, so it was not like super long. The revision process is also shorter because I don't have that many plot lines, even though I always do have quite a bit of plot lines. But it was very, it was just something that I was really gaining into the momentum of. And on June 4th, 2015, I sent the cover to Riley Edgewood and Katie Upperman, and I wrote, the title was so procrastinating, but I did make a cover for Summer Like No Other. And this is still the cover 11 years later for A Summer Like No Other. I did, for the French cover, I did it slightly different, the French version of that cover, when I got the translation done. And that's also still the cover for the French version for Summer Like No Other. So I made that cover, so I saved some money that way. I did use a copy editor. I also used NetGalley So I was really busy. Like there was a lot of work behind the scenes to make this launch a success. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's not like I just put the book up for pre-order and hoped for the best, went to bed and was like, I got 23 pre-orders without doing nothing. No, I was doing quite a lot. I contacted every person on NetGalley who had reviewed 1 to 3, which was my very first book that I've released. If they had written that they were okay, like that they wanted to connect with the author, I wrote to them, letting them know that I had a new book coming out. If they wanted to review A Summer Like No Other, I did another NetGalley with, I think it was Anne Victory already at that time. And so I had a spot for, I think, a month, or I think it was a month, where I got more reviews. I have one of my readers, and Sarah, I don't know if you're listening to this, but if you are, I think we remembered that this is how you found my books. And Sarah has been reading all my books ever since. And I am so grateful for NetGalley because I don't know if she would have found my books otherwise. And she's been wonderful. So I'm very lucky. But I did. So I think I wrote like 50 emails. I organized a cover reveal with Espresso book tours. And I'm sorry if my voice is a little bit, but I've been dictating, and I think that's I'm not used to talking that much during the day. I work from home. And while I work in the office of Big SM from the Write Better Faster Academy, so during the afternoon I have coworkers and I can chat every hour. And I talk to my family on the phone, and I talk to the chemical engineer and to friends and stuff like that. But I usually do not talk that much. And right now I've been talking quite a bit. So my voice is I think it's a little bit sensitive. But so in addition to writing the emails, organizing the cover reveal with Espresso book tours, and starting to post videos of YouTube and doing all of those things, I also had a free, like a bargain booksy that I booked for the day of release, because again, it was 99 cents. So I was really, really trying to gain more pre-orders. When I look at everything I was doing, I was clearly really trying to give also Always Second Best, which is the second book in the duet, its best chance at succeeding. And when I look back, I see that Always Second Best only had 25 pre-orders. So it got 3 more pre-orders on Amazon from 22 to 25, but because I don't know how many other pre-orders I got on other platforms for Always Second Best, I remember the one on Apple for A Summer Like No Other, which is how I got to 23 for A Summer Like No Other, but I cannot remember for Always Second Best. And then I keep on talking, right, about success. And at the time, I believe that my idea of success for those books would be to find their readers, make enough money so it would be a part-time income to a full-time income. Because in 2014, 2015, 2016, and you still hear it now about authors who really, really make it what we believe is quickly. Sometimes I think we don't necessarily know all the years prior, but it happens. Like at the time in 2015, I think I was really hoping that everything I was doing was to give both of those books the best chance at gaining new readers and also getting new pre-orders and making a living out of it. Because yes, it's sometimes difficult to talk about money because it's art, right? This is creative. This is all of those things, but it's also my job. And I think when we're thinking about what it could be, dreaming, it's like I daydream a lot. So it's not like I don't do it, but it's also important, I think, for me to talk about the discrepancy and just not to say that I was releasing them just for the sake of releasing them and finding readers. It is part of it, but it was not and is not the only reason. I write because I want to, because I have to. And writing is both creative and it's also something that is, for me, part of earning my living. So it's an entire thing. It was not what I thought might happen at the time. And, when you're spending and expending that much energy and everything trying to make a launch work, and you probably have ideas in your head of what does it mean when it's going to work. Well, 22 and 25 pre-orders is not what I thought I was going to get. At the same time, even now, if I get like 22 or 25 pre-orders on one book, I'm okay with it. And the reason why I'm okay with it is because I know that the book sells and the book's impact is not necessarily going to happen in the first couple of weeks. And now I'm more okay with it. Would I like more pre-orders? Yes, but it's also not, it doesn't make or break a book for me anymore. I think because I know what can happen thanks to a someone like no other. Because when I look back, Love in B minor, which was the awesome title, which I did release on March 15th, 2016, it had 28 pre-orders. But if I look at the French version of A Summer Like No Other, which I released in March 2016, and then the follow-up, Une Seconde Chance, which is always second best in French, which I released 10 years ago, almost like on July 5th, 2016, that had 131 pre-orders on Amazon. And again, those are only the Amazon numbers because I have it in front of me, but those books had a lot of pre-orders. On Google Books, the French version did amazing. And then Love in B minor in French had 229 pre-orders on Amazon, but it had also a lot of pre-orders on Apple and on Google Books, and it did. And yes, I did do ads at that time on Facebook ads for those books in French because I never really cracked the code for authorelodienowodazkij ads on Facebook. I did do it for my pen name, my steamy pen name before they closed my Facebook ads account. Basically, when I look at the English version, it still did not create an entire new audience for me at the time. In French, it already did. Like in 2016, that was really like that release, A Summer Like No Other in French, again, only 20 pre-orders, but you see always second best, 131, and then 229. So I was really getting to, in French, in the French-speaking world, so to speak, of books, I was doing pretty well with those books. But now if I look at the actual data of the first 3 months of A Summer Like No Other being released and Always Second Best being released, I made in those 3 months about $300 for Always Second Best and about $150 to $100 for A Summer Like No Other in English for those books. I still make in about that amount. I still make that for Always Second Best in English. I still make about that amount now, meaning that what I made back then, I've been making consistently. It's a book that is consistent in giving me income, which is amazing. 11 years later, I find that amazing. And the sell-through, you have 100 people who bought the first book or downloaded the free book, and then you have one person who buys the second book. That's a 1% sell-through. Well, for this book, I have a 10% sell-through, which is I have a 10% in English and a 9% I have a 10% in French and a 9% in English. So I consider that pretty good. I love how many people love Nick and Em. And I've gotten, one of the reasons I've decided to do this numbers episode first on A Summer Like No Other, and I was thinking about doing the Facebook ads. I have A Summer Like No Other and Always Second Best. The audiobooks are also available on YouTube. I had somebody commenting, and I don't know if this person is going to be listening to this podcast or not, but commenting that if we have book 3, is there going to be a book 4 because I'm locked in? And that just made me so happy and also very nervous because I have a draft of book 3 that I need to expand and I need to work on over the summer. But I don't know if I can do book 4. But it's wild, right? This is a book that I've released more than 10 years ago that is still gaining new readers, and I am so grateful for it. It's also the book, so A Summer Like No Other, that I got translated into French, and the French translation got picked up by a publisher. So that's why I'm a hybrid author, because I was published. I'm no longer, because the publishing house, which was part of Hachette, did stop publishing YAs. But I did get to see my books in France in grocery stores, in bookstores, and I also got an advance for that. And it's wild, right? Like, I just got the rights back. And so thanks to A Summer Like No Other, also the translation in French, which has seen, let me give you the numbers, because to give you an idea about how many people have downloaded A Summer Like No Other. So this month only, A Summer Like No Other has been downloaded 66 times. It's been downloaded 40 times as an ebook, 25 times as an audiobook, and I sold one paperback. But that's just this month. If I look at all times for A Summer Like No Other in English, and I am using PublisherChamp. I don't know if I've mentioned that at the beginning of the episode, but I am using PublisherChamp for all this data. So PublisherChamp is an all-in-one book reporting dashboard for authors. I've started using it a couple of months ago, and I really like it. They've implemented a few changes, and the pricing is the following. I'm not at all receiving, this is not a sponsored nothing. It's just something that I use, and just to let you know how I have this data, because I did not keep track of all the data. So in dollars, the standard, which the standard does not have the square space, square up, fourth wall, WooCommerce, Amazon, all those things, which I do not need because I do not have all those things. I do not have yet my own store. That's the reason why I'm not using this one yet. So I have the standard version, which is $16.99 per month. So I know it's not cheap. And that's also why I'm using the data, because I find it also very fascinating, and it's important for me to know what is happening so I can make afterwards more informed decisions. So if I look at A Summer Like No Other in English, it sold in the first 3 months about 230 books in English. And the royalties were about $150. But now it has been downloaded, this book has been downloaded 66,550 times. 66,550 times. The best month, according to the PublisherChamp website, was in May 2024, where 7,930 books got downloaded. And ebooks free, which is interesting, is that the most downloaded format is actually, I should not say downloaded because it includes paperbacks, which is 1,360. I sold 1,360 copies of the paperback of A Summer Like No Other. But audiobook-wise, there were 40,279 people who have downloaded the audiobook of A Summer Like No Other. 40,279, and 24,414 downloaded the ebook. Now, if I look at Un été pas comme les autres, which is the French version of A Summer Like No Other, again, it did not do great at the very beginning. I'm going to give you some numbers. And that's interesting because if I look at the numbers of A Summer Like No Other in French, I spent the sales of A Summer Like No Other in French. I sold more on Draft to Digital at the beginning than I did on Amazon. I sold about more than 50% more on Draft to Digital than I did on Amazon, and I sold about 233 copies. Keep in mind that at the time I was also doing ads. So I did sell 233 copies, which in euros were at the time 343 euros 22. But I was using ads. So the actual profit was not that amount. Now, if I'm looking at all time, if I'm looking at the entire downloads of A Summer Like No Other, first of all, the royalties for that book, when I look also at what I got from the contract with the publisher, is a little bit less than 7,000 euros. So that's not bad for a free book that is now a perma-free. But if I look at the downloads of that book, I got 48,368 downloads of that book. I also got enough downloads that I was able to join the Pépite program. It's going to be very French. The Pépite program for Bookelis for distribution with Hachette. So the paperback is also distributed now through that, and I don't have to pay for the distribution because I showed that I had a lot of downloads of the book, because that's not, and here again, the audiobook does great. If I look at Une Seconde Chance in French, which is the book that I released with already more pre-order, this book sold, Une Seconde Chance, so always second best in French, sold 5,007 copies. 51 paperbacks, but again, I was picked up by a publisher, so they had the paperbacks rights. My husband was very good at advising me because I took care of the entire contract. I did not have an agent or anything like that. They actually emailed me and asked me if I wanted to see my books in stores in France, and I said yes. And my husband was like, well, maybe you can only give them the paperback rights. And they agreed. And so they had the paperbacks right for a few years. But I sold almost 5,000 copies of the ebook of Always Second Best in French. And if I look at the different platform and I look at the royalties, while Amazon has more than 11,000 euros on there, Google Books also did amazing. Kobo Writing Life has more than 1,500. Draft to Digital, I have made with this book, not, and I'm always like comparing myself. I think that I just want to make sure that, I mean, you know that some authors, what I'm talking about, the numbers I'm talking about, that is a lot for a lot of authors. It's also not much for other authors. But for me, those books really have found their readership. And because they have found their readership, and because I've had so many emails about those books and those stories, and because my husband was also telling me like that might be a good book to do a third book, to have a series with 3 books. And that's what I'm working on. So again, end of summer. And I have already a draft because I had done a bonus short story for my newsletter subscribers. And now I have to rework it and make it into either a novella or a full-length book. I'm thinking about doing a novella. And I am super nervous because this book, for me, has a lot of readers. And I put it up for pre-order. I need to put it up on all platforms for pre-order. And I am also looking forward to creating the cover and rereading the book and getting to fall in love again with Nick and Em and trying to make sure their voices are the same, because I have not written a book with Nick and Em since 2016, because Love and Be Minor released in 2016, which was Jen's story, and they make an appearance. But I have not written a book with them or with their voices for more than a decade. And so I am very excited. I'm also very nervous. We'll see if maybe I'll dictate some of those chapters, which actually, to get back into the voice might not be a bad idea. So I'll keep you updated with that. But yeah, I hope that this episode shows you that some books find their audiences later. For me right now, what works, I do not have any ads going onto those books, being in French or in English. And the French version of Always Second Best still sells dozens of books a month. It is usually my most sold book during a month if I don't have a new release. So if I look at my royalties for March, and I'm choosing March because it does have my Kobo Plus already numbers on there, it will be a little bit skewed because it also has, I do believe it has Spotify numbers on there as well, which I don't get every month. But if I look at my most sold book for March, so 1st of March 2026 to the 31st of March 2026, the French version of Always Second Best is number 1, and then it's Always Second Best. So again, it does have audiobook numbers because when I look at the detail, it has the fact that I sold 71 copies of the ebook of Always Second Best in French. 71 ebooks copies. And then of Always Second Best, I sold 1 paperback and I sold 10 ebooks. So it's looking at the royalties. And so the reason why Always Second Best is second that way is because I also sold 28 audiobooks with Spotify of that. So in terms of total number, because otherwise the most sold, if I look at the ebooks paid, how many ebooks I sold in March, the second one would be, so the first one would still be Always Second Best in French. The second one would be 1, 2, 3 in French, of which I sold 18 copies. And then it would be Dear Santa with Love in French, in which I sold 15 copies. So that shows you that when it comes to March 2026, the best-selling paid books, because I'm not looking at the free downloads for this one, so just the paid books that I have is a book that I've released in 2016 in French. So it's been 10 years since that book has been released, and it still is my most sold book in March 2026. Of course, it is different if I look at different months. I write a lot of Christmas rom-coms, steamy Christmas rom-coms right now. So if I look at November, December, January, usually it's the most sold books that I have. So if I look at December 2025, I had put one of my steamy Christmas rom-coms on sale for 99 cents in English, and I sold 195 copies of that book in December. And it is without ads or without any BookBub or anything like that. I do have a prequel for that book, kind of like a Summer Like No Other, except that one does not end on a happy for now. I think at least not as much as a Summer Like No Other, but it does have a very good read through as well. And so when I put it down for 99 cents, it finds its readers. And then that's not looking at the royalties, right? It's looking at the number of ebooks paid, sold. And then the second one during that month is the French version of Most Eligible Scrooge, which is the steamy rom-com. But then if I look at that, the third one of that month in December in terms of ebooks sold is Always Second Best in French. It has 58 copies. And I'm laughing again because it's, again, a book that I've released more than 10 years ago, or not more than 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, and it's still consistently showing up as one of my most sold books every month. And if I look at Always Second Best, the English version, it also in December still sold 10 ebooks and sold 17 audiobooks. So I had 27 book sale of that particular book in English, of a book that had less than 30 pre-orders when it got released in 2015. So yeah, again, the pre-orders don't tell the entire story. Nick and M resonated with readers, and yeah, I've had people telling me that it helped them love to read. I've had teenagers reaching out to me with those books. I've had people in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, I think in their 50s as well. I've had people from around the world reaching out to me with emails, and it's also something that I've used for my bilingual books. So Summer Like No Other, I have a lot of bilingual books thanks to that book that also do very well, like A Summer Like No Other and In Dieser meinen Sommer, which is the German version. Sold a lot of books, and I don't have to do anything for those. Like, I don't do any ads. Those ones are really things that I just put up and wait to see if people are going to buy them. And they do, and they enjoy it. And the reason why I do that is because I'm also a language learner who always loved those books, the bilingual books. I remember reading ghost stories, bilingual books when I was a teenager, and I loved those books. And so I was thinking, because I was also a teacher, maybe some students might like it, some teachers might like it. And so I created an entire pen name with just bilingual books. And the best selling in those ones is A Summer Like No Other, because I think readers love the story, love the characters. And when you're learning a language, I think it's fun to also have a story you really enjoy to read. So yeah, that's the book that had 23 pre-orders and became my most read books in every language, because also those bilingual books, and it's available in English, in French. Some do better than other. I have it in Italian as well, in Portuguese now, in Spanish. I have translators I've worked with. Those books have been published for several years now, and I am also super grateful to all the translators who have worked on those translations, because thanks to them, this book has found their readers. And the latest one I've released was in Dutch, because I now live in Belgium, and I thought that would be it hasn't found its audience yet. So this one in that language has not yet found an audience. It's perma-free as well, but it hasn't been climbing up the charts or anything yet. But I also know that maybe it will, because that's the way it happened with the English and French versions. So, and I'm also going to work on the bilingual book of German, Dutch, and Dutch English, and Dutch French, and Dutch Spanish, and Dutch Portuguese, and all those things. Right now I'm working on the on the German Portuguese version, because German, no matter what bilingual version, is the one that does the best with those books. So that's the one I'm starting with when it comes to the German Portuguese. And I'm also super grateful to Megan Carter, who narrated the English audiobook. And for the French version, I've redone both books now read by Maya Belknaoui, and they're also available on YouTube. And yeah, I hope this episode was helpful or entertaining, or just, I don't know if you remember when I don't know if you were blogging. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what you were doing, but like, I used to blog, right? And I used to love those posts where people were going through some of their data and sharing some of them. And I thought those could be the numbers episode that I do in between other episodes. And I know I haven't been super consistent, let's put it that way, with releasing episodes. I'm going to try to be more consistent, but this is also something that takes a lot of time. It's fun. And I'm also planning on releasing, as I've mentioned, a nonfiction book in the near future, which is called Cancer Is Not My Brand. I have not put it up for pre-order yet, but I feel like doing those podcast episodes it's also nice, I guess, to put the human behind the story, and I'm the human behind the stories. So hi. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. And to all writers out there, happy writing. And to everyone, happy reading. I'll talk to you soon.